Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking news, a Wake County man is in critical condition after being shot by a deputy. New information in the ongoing investigation.
And more breaking news, UNC Chapel Hill names a new athletic director. What we know about the person who will succeed Bubba Cunningham.
And storm chances return, but they may hold off until a little bit later today. I'll walk you through when the cold front clears the area coming up.
Take a look at this video from Drone 5. This is the scene of a shootout at a home in southern Wake County. We are told a deputy shot a man after he fired at them. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Thanks for joining us. This all started just before 2 o'clock this morning in the 200 block of Bernard Drive. And that is where we find Sean Gallagher with new information about the shooter's condition and what prompted all of this. Sean.
Yeah, Jeff and Renee, the wife of the man shot here tells me her son called 911 threatening suicide, but it all went awry and went unplanned once law enforcement got here. You can see they're still investigating here behind me, but I want you to take a look in front of this house. You can see almost a dozen evidence markers that are right there, roughly where this shooting took place. Now, all of this started around 1:30 in the morning when 3 Wake County Sheriff's deputies came to this home on Bernard Drive. Law enforcement says when they got here, 32-year-old Brian Monroe shot at them. They returned gunfire, hitting him in the stomach and arm, according to Broadcastify radio traffic. He was later taken to the hospital and is currently in critical condition. It was a very active scene, and we heard how it played out over radio traffic.
Having shots fired, in unit. Hit were all units, 200 Bernard Drive. Shots fired, Wake. Shots fired. Shots fired, shots fired.
And a nearby neighbor tells me he heard nearly a dozen gunshots during this incident, and he says he does frequently hear yelling and arguing coming from this general area. Now, a Wake County deputy was treated and released from the hospital, but SBI did not make it clear what their injuries were. This investigation clearly still ongoing, as you can see here behind me. As we get more information, we'll, of course, update you both on TV and online. In Wake County, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
A 5-year-old girl who was hurt during an apparent road rage shooting in Cary is expected to be okay. The child's mother says she has extensive damage to her leg. She says a bullet was found inside her little girl's sippy cup. We're working to get an update on whether police have tracked down that shooter.
Put the needle on repeat. Expect highs in the lower to mid-90s today with a chance of scattered showers. Meteorologist Kat Campbell is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with when the storms will roll in. Kat.
We could see a couple of storms pop up during the afternoon hours, but the best chance for storms is actually going to be a little bit later, moving in this evening and tonight. The main concern here and the reason why we're under a level 1 severe weather threat is the 40 to 60 mile per hour wind gust threat. We could also see some heavy rain. There's actually medium flood risk just west of our area. It's all ahead of this cold front, so storms may end up being a bit more organized this evening and tonight. Initially, it'll just be scattered for the 5 o'clock commute. I think we'll see a storm or two on the radar, but not too widespread just yet. As we move a little bit later into the evening hours and tonight, storm chances will climb, and we'll have that potential for rain and storms to continue, not just this evening, but even into the overnight hours. The reason why? A cold front will still be hanging out tonight. It's still nearby tomorrow. Tomorrow actually brings a better chance for storms during the day than what we have today. You could even wake up to some rain tomorrow morning, but this system will finally start to move out by Wednesday night. That same cold front could spin something up offshore. That's why there is a 30% chance of tropical development off the southeast coast over the next week. The time frame to watch would actually be the end of the week into the weekend. Of course, it's 4th of July weekend. A lot of people don't like to see this, but I'll explain why you should not cancel any of your weekend beach plans coming up.
Kat, thank you. We have breaking news. Changes are coming to the athletics department at UNC Chapel Hill. Bubba Cunningham will stay on as athletics director until next year before taking a new job advising the chancellor. And Steve Newmark, the president of RFK Racing, will take over as Carolina's AD in 2026. WRAL's Monica Casey is live outside Kenan Stadium to break this all down for us. Monica.
Well, Renee, Bubba Cunningham has been in this role since 2011, and during that time, he has led UNC to 24 national championships. The choice of his successor sends a message about UNC's focus going forward. Steve Newmark has more than a decade of experience in NASCAR, and he's had a role here at UNC already, serving on the advisory committee that helped hire Bill Belichick. In an interview with Carolina Athletics Carolina Insider podcast, Bubba Cunningham explained this plan.
How do great programs continue to be good over long periods of time? And I think you need a succession plan. And I talked about that. It was in my last contract, that we have to develop a succession plan. There's a whole new horizon that we have to be prepared for. And I think is what we're trying to do is set ourselves up for that success.
As WRAL has reported, the landscape of college sports is changing drastically with an increased focus on revenue sharing, NIL, and commercial strategy. UNC says that's where Newmark comes in. He will start in August as the Executive Associate Athletic Director before taking over as AD in the summer of 2026. Live in Chapel Hill, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
We also have this live look right now this noon from the U.S. Senate floor, where a marathon session is still going on. The vote-a-rama began nearly 27 hours ago. Most Republicans are intent on getting the president's bill to his desk by Friday. Democrats are doing all they can to persuade GOP lawmakers to vote against it. Democrats say more than 11 million people will lose their health care. Republicans argue the overhaul will help keep Medicaid running long-term. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates it will increase the deficit by more than $3 trillion. And this morning, Elon Musk resumed his attacks, saying Republicans who campaigned on cutting spending and backed this bill, quote, will lose their primary next year if it is the last thing I do on this earth, end quote.
And breaking news, they just passed that spending bill there on the Senate floor. New at noon, Governor Josh Stein gave a stark warning about potential SNAP and Medicaid cuts. That warning came during a virtual briefing this morning about how the cuts could affect North Carolinians. WRAL's Chris Lovingood was at that briefing. Chris, you were able to ask a question about this.
You know, Renee, which is why I took the opportunity to ask what state leaders would say to federal lawmakers, specifically how these cuts proposed in the One Big Beautiful Bill would affect North Carolinians. Governor Josh Stein and State Department of Health and Human Services leaders broke down the numbers. They say 1.4 million North Carolinians receive SNAP food benefits. And if not fully funded, well, many of these people will lose those benefits. Plus, more than 670,000 people covered in the recent Medicaid expansion would lose coverage. And nearly $40 billion in funding to these programs could be lost over about 10 years' time. Here's what NCDHHS Secretary Dr. Devduta Sanghvi's response when I asked what he would tell federal lawmakers about this.
While on the surface this may be in the best interest of trimming national debt and so forth, the implication for North Carolina is severe and very real.
And it will be a crisis. What we are seeing at the federal level would represent a devastating loss for North Carolina.
Dr. Sanghvi encouraged people to reach out to lawmakers to say something. In his view, they can present the numbers all day, but it's the stories of real people being affected that could help the most.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, President Trump is in the Florida Everglades for the opening of the immigration detention center that he is calling Alligator Alcatraz. They're actually hosting a roundtable meeting about it right now. That's the live picture you're looking at. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis currently speaking. But President Trump was given a tour with DeSantis and Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem. DeSantis described the push as Florida's continued effort to align the state with Trump's anti-immigrant crackdown. President Trump says this detention center will host some of the most vicious people on the planet, also saying we are surrounded by miles of treacherous swampland and the only way out is deportation. And a lot of these people are self-deporting back to their country where they came from. The president also asking Governor DeSantis whether there is potential for enlargement or additional facilities, and DeSantis says there may be.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu plans to meet with President Trump next week. Netanyahu informed his cabinet he will fly to Washington, D.C. to discuss a trade agreement and other issues. The prime minister also says he will meet with Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, and Steve Witkoff. The trip comes in the wake of the large-scale military operation launched by Israel against Iran.
Governor Josh Stein signed several bills this morning, and House Bill 959 was one of them, requiring North Carolina school boards to restrict the use of cell phones, ban access to TikTok on campus, and require schools to teach students social media literacy. He's also expected to sign a Senate bill that would direct state human resources to reassess job descriptions and scale back education and experience requirements. This is an effort to fill long-term vacant positions. Flags across our state are flying at half-staff today in honor of Officer Francisco Flates. The 4-year veteran of the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office was killed yesterday in the line of duty. Officer Flates got into a scuffle with a federal inmate during a doctor's visit. Authorities say Kelvin Simmons took the officer's gun and shot him before fleeing in a stolen car. Simmons was captured after a chase.
Fed Chair Jerome Powell says the Federal Reserve would likely have lowered interest rates this year if it weren't for President Donald Trump's tariffs. Now, the Fed has not lowered interest rates at all this year. On Monday, Trump posted on his social media platform a note in his handwriting slamming Powell for keeping interest rates higher than dozens of other nations. Powell noted that most Fed officials expect to lower interest rates at some point later this year. Let's take a look at how stocks are doing to kick off the second half of the year. The Dow Jones Industrial, quite the rally, up 460 points, but mixed reaction here on S&P 500, just relatively staying flat, and NASDAQ down 200 points.
TSA is rolling out new benefits today for active service military and family members. Under the Serve with Honor, Travel with Ease initiative, active duty servicemen and women will have a new security lane at airports. The initiative also grants TSA pre-check discounts for active duty spouses. Gold Star families, those who have lost a family member in the line of duty, will have their TSA pre-check enrollment fee waived.
Next at noon in Massachusetts, an off-duty officer is shot by an on-duty officer. How this shocking incident happened.
Also, how about this scene on a beach in Portugal? The type of weather needed to make that type of cloud.
Plus, a road rage shooting hits a 5-year-old girl in Cary. Her condition and the search for the shooter.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, following some breaking news, we have just learned that televangelist Jimmy Swaggart, one of the first preachers to bring his ministry to a massive television audience, has died. He was 90 years old. He was hospitalized for 2 weeks. A family representative said on Tuesday Swaggart was taken to the hospital on June 15th after suffering cardiac arrest. No word on the cause of his death. Again, he was 90 years old.
A lifeguard who shot and killed a teenager and injured another at a Chicago park is due back in court today. The 55-year-old man works for the city's park district. Prosecutors say he opened fire on the boys after having words with a third teen who was upset that the pool was closing. The worker claims the trio threatened to steal his bike. The judge called him a danger to the community and ordered him held until trial. Now to a shocking situation unfolding in North Andover, Massachusetts, where an off-duty police officer was shot by a colleague. Here's what we know. The on-duty officer went to the home of the female officer to serve a court order. The department says the on-duty officer fired their department-issued gun after an armed confrontation, and the off-duty officer was taken to a Boston area hospital. The shooting is under investigation.
President Trump is easing his tough stance on immigration, but only for migrants working on farms and in the hospitality industry. The president says his administration is working to create a temporary pass for certain workers. Trump says the policy will give employers greater control. Immigrants given a temporary pass would continue to pay taxes. The president says he does not want to hurt farmers or people in the hotel industry. A Maryland man wrongfully deported to El Salvador under President Trump's immigration crackdown will remain in jail for now. Lawyers for Kilmar Abrego Garcia filed a motion to delay his release. They say there were conflicting messages from federal prosecutors on whether the government intends to deport him to a country other than his homeland if he is freed from the Tennessee jail. Prosecutors have accused him of human smuggling. Abrego Garcia has denied the charges. A hearing is set for next month to determine whether he'll be released.
Beyond furious. That's how the family of one of the victims of the deadly Idaho College stabbings describes a plea deal with the suspect, Brian Koberger. The deal comes 1 month after his murder trial was finally set to begin. Under the agreement, Koberger would plead guilty to 4 counts of murder in exchange for the government dropping the death penalty. The victim's family members are set to attend a hearing tomorrow to discuss the plea deal. The contract stalemate between United Healthcare and Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center is over. The two sides were at odds over reimbursement rates. The deal comes just hours before certain kinds of coverage were set to expire for nearly 20,000 cancer patients. Under the deal, United Healthcare insured patients can continue to receive care without interruption.
A new survey is revealing new summer dining trends, and lying tops the list. All right, stay with me. A new survey found that about 2 in 5 adults say they have at least one friend that's always late. More than half of the participants say they gave friends a fake reservation time to make sure they're on time. Half of Gen Zers who were questioned also say they coordinate outfits with their friends. All right, so why not make that our question of the day? Have you ever lied to your friend about reservation times just to make sure they're on time? You can share your voice right now by scanning the QR code on your screen or head to WRAL.com/yourvoice, and we'll share the results before the end of this newscast. Pretty much everybody on board with yes. I think I'm probably one of the ones that's been lied about.
Smart, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's smart.
Time.
We all have that friend or friends that are always it's always 15, 20 minutes late. Yeah. College sports fans have heard the rallying cry, Roll Tide, but have you ever heard of a Roll Cloud? Take a look. Beachgoers in Portugal were treated to this rare phenomenon while trying to stay cool from scorching temperatures. A climate expert says the cloud forms under certain temperatures, humidity, and conditions of wind. This happens when the surface of land is hot during the day and then cold air sweeps in after the sun sets. And that forces the hot air to rise, creating the roll cloud. I didn't know that, but of course, Kat Campbell knew that.
It's rolling right in. I'd like to roll down to the beach. Yeah. It looks pretty nice down there, Kat.
And, these roll clouds are less rare than you think. It's just because that one was at a beach in Portugal, you could see the whole thing, and that really made it look so dramatic. Carolina Beach today, just some cumulus clouds here in the distance. You can see the Shibumi shades blowing in the wind, a nice breeze there at the coast today out ahead of the front. If you're headed to the beach this weekend, we've got great weather for 4th of July. 84 at Nags Head and Emerald Isle on Friday, 88 Topsail Beach, 90 for Ocean Isle, Wrightsville Beach, and 88 at Myrtle Beach. Dry on Friday. Saturday looks pretty good as well. It may not be so hot for Myrtle, Ocean Isle, Wrightsville Beach. Will be around 83 for Emerald Isle, 90 in New Bern, and Saturday still looks great. I tell you this because the weekend beach forecast doesn't look bad. But we do have something that we need to watch. There's about a 30% chance for tropical development off the southeast coast, and this is over the next 7 days. The time frame for this would be over the weekend and into the early part of next week. Here's the thing. That system would likely form, if it does, off a stalled front, the same front that's moving through today and tomorrow, and that would be keeping the bulk of the showers and storms offshore. Because these low pressure systems spin up along a front, they also travel along a front like it's a highway, and as long as this front goes to plan and stalls offshore, that would keep the rain offshore for us. In the meantime, we are still watching the approach of this same front. It'll bring the chance for storms, especially later this evening and tonight. Storm chances go up to about 60% chance later on tonight. We'll be tracking these for you on WRAL News at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock. Temperatures sitting below 90 degrees right now in the Triangle, 87 in Cary, 89 at RDU, 86 in Chapel Hill, and 85 in Zebulon and Holly Springs. If you're trying to get an afternoon walk in, go for it right now. Not much in the way of storms early in the afternoon on the radar. There could be 1 or 2 small ones, though. Tonight will bring a better chance for storms. Lows are in the low to mid 70s, and tomorrow high temperatures are in the mid 80s, and we'll have a chance for thunderstorms again tomorrow. Tomorrow may actually end up being a better chance for storms for us, just a lower severe weather threat. One thing to mention, that 85 tomorrow would be the least hot day since June 5th. So that'll feel pretty good, but it'll still be humid outside. Behind the front, the humidity goes down just a tiny little bit for Friday and Saturday. Overall, it looks like a good 4th of July weekend. High temperatures are in the 90s every day except for tomorrow. So make the most of tomorrow if you're not a fan of the summer heat. By early next week, we could be right back in the upper 90s. But for 4th of July weekend, we do get a break from those triple-digit heat indices.
Thanks, Kat. Not terrible for July, right? Shooting for the stars. Netflix is making it easier for Earthlings to track NASA's progress.
Avoiding junk fees. American families waste thousands of dollars each year on these hidden fees. 5 on Your Side explains how to keep them from hitting your wallet. The average family of 4 spends about $3,200 in junk fees per year. 5 on Your Side's Keely Arthur explains where there's new relief from junk fees and where you still need to take action in order to save.
A new FTC rule is now in effect. It requires full price transparency for hotels, short-term lodging, and live event tickets. That way you know the full price of something before you book.
Americans are sick and tired of getting hit with hidden fees that jack up prices and take a big bite out of their wallets. This is a big step in the right direction, but much more needs to be done.
That's because the FTC rule only addresses part of the problem. Extra charges can still be found when booking flights. To avoid this, book directly through the airline or a trusted travel agent. If you're renting a car, bring your own toll transponder to avoid extra charges. NC Quick Pass transponders work in 19 states, and you can use it in a rental car. But there are specific steps you have to take to make it work, and we've posted those on WRAL.com. Food delivery apps are convenient, but ordering directly from the restaurant, picking it up yourself, and paying in cash are all options to avoid service and credit card fees. And let's talk about banking really quick. Always use an ATM that is in your bank's network to avoid any extra charges there. Keely Arthur, 5 on Your Side.
Lululemon is suing a big box retailer for selling knockoff versions of its clothing. Lululemon claims Costco sells similar clothing under its private label line Kirkland at a fraction of the price. Lululemon is seeking to recover full financial losses. The company also asked the court to require Costco to stop selling the products. Here's a story that's sure to have some Netflix subscribers beaming with joy. The streaming platform is teaming up with NASA to share its content this summer, and that includes rocket launches, spacewalks, mission coverage. NASA says this will make its work in science and exploration more accessible. Schedules and programming details will be announced closer to launch. NASA Plus will still be available through the NASA app or on the agency's website for free.
Road rage victim. A 5-year-old girl is recovering after being shot in a vehicle with her family. What we know about her condition and the investigation.
A new smoking ban. France is saying au revoir to lighting up in some public places. The fine violators will face today, and it's saying goodbye to smoking at all outdoor areas visited by children as well. And a look at your winning NC Education lottery numbers on your screen. We'll be right back.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your #1 source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
A 5-year-old is recovering this afternoon after she was shot in the knee in a road rage incident.
This happened right around 6 o'clock yesterday evening as the cars were exiting U.S. Highway 64 in Cary. WRAL's Carly Haynes is live at the Cary Police Department. And Carly, police are still looking for the shooter in this case.
Yeah, the suspect is still out there. Police say they're looking for a silver Hyundai Elantra, and they're asking anybody who might have information about them to come forward. We do have Sky 5 video that flew above the scene yesterday evening in the heart of rush hour. Now, this is on US 1 North. Police say the shooting happened as a result of road rage. A person fired a single shot at the car that the 5-year-old was in, then the bullet hit the child's leg. Her mother told WRAL yesterday that the bullet eventually ended up in her sippy cup. Broadcastify radio traffic shows what police found when they arrived.
You got one single GSW to the right kneecap. We do have a tourniquet applied. We're trying to stop bleeding at this time.
There have been a string of shootings in the past month alone. On Saturday, a child was grazed in the leg after a car was shot at in Goldsboro. And then on June 8th, an 11-year-old passenger was shot in Durham. The 5-year-old in yesterday's incident had to go through multiple surgeries. She's out of those surgeries now. Her mother says that she is recovering, and doctors say that she is expected to make a full recovery. Carly Haynes, WRAL News, live in Cary.
The FBI is investigating after a deputy shot a man at a home in southern Wake County.
Having shots fired, in unit. 10-4, all units, 200 Benner Drive. Shots fired, Wake. Shots fired. Shots fired.
This all happened before 2 this morning on Benner Drive in Raleigh. Now, within the last hour, we learned that Wake deputies received a call about a person threatening suicide. 3 deputies responded. And during the incident, deputies shot 32-year-old Brian Monroe. He is now in critical condition. A deputy was injured but has been released from the hospital. The investigation is ongoing.
Governor Josh Stein says North Carolina's lack of affordable child care is becoming a multi-billion-dollar crisis. Stein worked with Republican lawmakers, business leaders, and early education experts to compile today's recommendations. Unaffordable or unavailable child care can force new parents to quit their jobs. Stein says that costs the state over $5 billion every year in lost productivity. For the details on how state leaders plan to tackle these problems, you can head online to WRAL.com. In less than an hour, Raleigh City Council will meet and discuss several major topics. First, an update on affordable housing initiatives and efforts to address homelessness. Then city leaders will share an update on the Six Forks Road project. The city manager will also share a report and recommendations for the Convention Center Hotel, Omni, and Resorts.
A Harnett County family is describing the terrifying moments when their house caught fire. 2 homes had severe damage yesterday when the fire broke out along Tillman Road in Coates. 1 family ended up losing everything. More than 7 agencies responded to the fire. They were able to put out the fire in about 90 minutes. As Asher Richardson assesses the devastation, he says he is just glad that both he and his mom made it out safely.
I opened the door and there was smoke in one room, and then in the next room there was just a wall of flames. And then we just got out as fast as we could. I grabbed the cat, and thankfully we all made it out safe.
Investigators are looking into the cause of the fire. A GoFundMe page has been set up to support the Richardson family.
There's an app that lets users know when immigration and customs enforcement agents are operating in their area. The creator launched ICE Block in April after the Trump administration stepped up immigration efforts. Now, he calls it an early warning system, but stresses that it should not be used to interfere with ICE operations or incite violence. The acting director of ICE says the app paints a target on the backs of agents. President Trump is enforcing a statutory ban on U.S. tourism to Cuba, as well as an economic embargo. A memo signed by the president states the policies on Cuba are similar to those from his first presidency. The Trump administration also says it does not intend to reinstate the policy, which allowed Cuban migrants to stay in the country once they reached U.S. soil.
Starting today, vape products that some say are marketed toward kids are now banned in North Carolina. The new law requires the state to certify vape products and punish stores that sell non-certified products. Lawmakers say products that use bright colors and candy-like flavors are designed to appeal to kids. Stores will face unannounced compliance checks to ensure that they're not selling banned products. Despite these new restrictions, hundreds of vape products will still be available for sale. Starting today, you'll have to pay more to use ride-sharing companies. A new state tax.
Give you this live look. Look at those puffy clouds there, blue skies, hot temperatures. Tell you what, it's pushing 90 just about everywhere in our viewing area right now. This is our WRAL Live Cam network. Tall tower cam out there in Garner. Beautiful look. As you watch WRAL News, available on Hulu and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
Starting today, some cruise passengers will now have to pay an additional port fee. Ships docking in Mexico will have to pay $5 extra per person. That fee could go up as high as $21 per port in 2028. Royal Caribbean reportedly wants to build a resort in Mahahual and wants more Mexico destinations, but opposes the new fees. A new smoking ban also takes place today in France. This new ban includes parks, beaches, sports venues, even right under the Eiffel Tower. Those who break the rule face a fine of $106 if they pay within 15 days. And then it goes up to $160. And yes, it includes unsuspecting tourists. So consider this your warning. The sweeping measure is part of President Emmanuel Macron's pledge to create the first tobacco-free generation by 2032.
This is unsuspecting as well. Warmer weather, it means a lot of birds are making their way back from the south, headed north. The migration season comes with big concerns, though. Wildlife experts say between 1 and 5 billion birds die every year just in the United States from collisions with windows and other glass. That's because reflective windows can help us see outside, but they are especially dangerous for birds.
A lot of times they act like a mirror, depending on the lighting conditions. And so what birds see in a window or another sheet of glass often is their habitat reflected in there, or blue sky.
Homeowners and building owners can reduce harm to birds by installing little dots or squares to the windows to create spacing that is visible to birds.
Migraine triggers. An expert weighs in on how weather can worsen an existing headache.
Plus, a new variant. COVID-19 is mutating once again. One key symptom that many patients have in common.
Health experts are sounding the alarm about a new COVID-19 variant ahead of the July 4th holiday.
Many say it could lead to a summer wave of the virus. Mandy Gaither shares the defining symptom that is most common in those who are infected.
It's related to the Omicron variant. NB181, nicknamed Nimbus, is spreading in the U.S., now causing more than 40% of COVID-19 cases, according to the latest CDC data.
It is a little bit more infectious and contagious than kind of the last couple of versions that we have seen before. So we're seeing a pretty rapid rise in the number of cases related to Nimbus.
Dr. Carrie Horn with National Jewish Health says as people gather to celebrate the July 4th holiday, there's an increased chance for the virus to spread even more. She says in addition to the symptoms with previous variants like fever, runny nose and congestion, some shortness of breath, cough, and body aches, the defining symptom for this variant is what she calls a razor blade sore throat.
It is really intense and it can last for a couple of days. And it's even as bad as like when you're just swallowing your saliva, just normal swallowing. It doesn't have to be with food or liquids or anything. Just super intense pain.
To slow the spread of this variant, Horn says to stay home if you're having symptoms. If you do go out, wear a mask and continue washing hands. If you're at high risk of getting severely sick, she recommends getting the updated COVID-19 vaccine.
The real benefit of the vaccine is keeping people out of the hospital, preventing severe illness and death. So anybody who's high risk, I strongly recommend getting the vaccine.
Starting today, CVS Caremark is going to stop covering Eli Lilly's Zepbound for chronic weight management in adults with obesity or who are overweight. However, Wegovy still will be covered under plans managed by the pharmacy benefit manager. CVS says the decision will encourage both Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk to lower prices for their products in the U.S. The company mailed letters to patients in May notifying them of this change.
More than 37 million people in the U.S. suffer from migraines. They can be caused by different factors like the weather.
Anytime we go from temperatures like in the 50s or 60s all the way to the 80s within a 48, 72-hour window or vice versa, that in itself can induce migraines.
Extreme weather in the winter and summer, along with sudden rain and storms, can cause migraines. Unfortunately, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. However, experts do recommend trying to identify your specific triggers. People can then change their diet, cut out certain foods, or speak with their medical professional about prescription medications.
Maybe something with the pressure, you know?
Probably, yeah.
Jeannie gets it. She can tell me when it's going to rain before.
Your wife can
Before
feel
it's gonna
it?
happen. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I don't get migraines. I don't know. How about you, Kat?
No, I feel very blessed because I
Right?
know a lot of people go through that. It can also affect your joints. So, sometimes before rain, the pressure difference can really do that and affect health. Out there today, all is quiet right now. Southern Pines looking pretty good. Not too many golfers out there. Nice breeze in the distance, but it's hot again. Highs reached the low to mid 90s this afternoon, and that is going to fuel some energy ahead of these storms. So any storms that move in later this evening and tonight could be strong to severe. There would be the potential for some localized flooding, especially just west of us and in our western counties. The wind damage threat on the low side and the hail and tornado threat very low, if not zero, with the setup tonight. Here comes the cold front. You can already see some of those storms in the mountains and the foothills. We're going to be watching for a few storms during the afternoon hours. This evening, as the front gets closer, storm chances will climb a bit higher into the nighttime hours. So I think meteorologist Mike Mays will still be tracking storms tonight at 11 on WRAL. Join him for an update before you head to bed, because in the morning you may actually run into a little bit of rain for the commute. It's not likely to be widespread, but I do still think we'll have the potential for rain in the morning. And tomorrow, early in the day, we'll still have that threat for rain and storms. With this front hanging out nearby, we could see scattered showers and storms at any given point in time during the day tomorrow, not just your typical afternoon summertime stuff. After that, though, behind the front, better weather is on the way just in time for July 4th weekend. That's the good news. We get all the storms out of the way just in time for the weekend. 93 Friday and Saturday, 96 Sunday with a small chance for rain. The muggy meter drops a tiny bit for the holiday weekend. Dew points are in the upper 60s Friday and Saturday. But let's talk about the tropics. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the newscast. If you missed it, we've got about a 30% chance of tropical development later this week, and this would be off the southeast coast. Don't cancel any plans. This is still several days out at this point. And the way it looks now, the bulk of the showers from this system would stay offshore. I encourage you, though, if you're about to head to the beach for the holiday weekend, bring your WRAL weather app with you on your phone. It will work while you travel as long as your notifications are turned on. And we'll let you know if there are any updates in terms of the tropics. We always post videos several times a day to the app to keep you up to date, even when you are on the go. 94 the high this afternoon, dropping to 85 tomorrow. That'll be the coolest day since the beginning of June 5th to be exact. Tonight and tomorrow, a 60% chance of rain and storms. Still not a 100% chance, not a washout. And I don't think everybody is necessarily going to see rain. You'll just have a decent chance. Once we get to the weekend, some drier weather to start with small rain chances returning by Sunday and Monday. Jeff and Renee.
Thank you. Making movie history right here. Max bringing Sinners to its screening platform. The addition that'll increase accessibility.
First, here's a look at your winning Powerball numbers.
We take this live look now. Warrenton here. Just before 1 o'clock, clouds still hanging around there. Temperatures heating up right on the edge of 90 in a lot of our viewing area. We'll wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we're following for you today. A shootout at a home in southern Wake County sent a man and a Wake County deputy to the hospital. Deputies came to the home at about 1:30 this morning after a call to 911 threatening suicide. When they got there, Brian Monroe shot at deputies and hit one. They fired back. Monroe is in critical condition at this hour. The deputy was treated and released.
UNC Chapel Hill has extended athletic director Bubba Cunningham's contract and named his successor. Cunningham will stay in his role until next summer before taking a new job advising the chancellor. Steve Newmark, current president of RFK Racing, will join UNC in August. He will spend a year in August 2026 is when he will take over. He will spend a year as Executive Associate Athletic Director before taking over as AD in the summer of 2026.
Governor Josh Stein signed several important bills this morning. One of them requires North Carolina school boards to restrict the use of cell phones, ban access to TikTok on campus, and require schools to teach students social media literacy. Now, the governor has also proposed new reforms to address the lack of affordable child care in the state.
Get ready to see actor Ryan Gosling as you've never seen him before. He will star in the sci-fi adventure Project Hail Mary. So he plays this middle school science teacher with a degree in molecular biology who must save the world. The trailer explains that the sun is dying, and Gosling's character is the government's only hope in understanding why. Project Hail Mary hits theaters in IMAX on March 20th, 2026.
That's not the Ken hair I remember, you know? Max will make history with its debut of Sinners on its platform, and viewers will have the option to watch the movie with Black American Sign Language on July 4th. Now, Black American Sign Language is the dialect of American Sign Language, complete with its own grammar, rhythm, facial expressions, and history. Warner Brothers says it is time for a streaming service to offer that version. Now, Max says the goal is to make great stories accessible to all audiences.
A Gen Z drinking habit is annoying some bartenders. More young people are choosing to close out their tabs and then pay after each drink instead of keeping an open tab going all night. Bartenders say this creates extra work. Gen Z says it helps them manage their money.
Big projects as Raleigh leaders are preparing to make upgrades around the city and more initiatives to better serve the community. That's all today on WRAL News. When we see you 4 o'clock, see how that could all happen and how it could affect you. I want to see this.
Yeah, earlier we asked you, have you ever lied to your friend about reservation times to ensure that they are on time? Look at this. Overwhelmingly, 84% of you weighing in saying, yes, I have a friend who's always late. So then you kind of tell them a different reservation time.
Oh, my. Those people
I've never done that, but they know their friend.
And they know who they are. Those people
yes,
know who they are.
Yes.
Also, the offenders.
Yeah. Not my issue, though, as far as
nope.
I am always punctual. I'm always a lot of times early, yes.
I'm probably the last one there.
Yeah. You scoot by. Just, you get there right on time, though. But, yeah.
We're going to get out on time today.
We are. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Just watch this, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
Yep, you can always get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. So have a great day in 3, 2, 1.
Bye-bye.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.